lot about it. This is weird.
From the land of conjurers, flying through the internet to your device like a UAP, hauntingly unexplained and downright weird, this is the Witching Hours, and we are ready to take off in the flash of an eye. Good evening to one and all, wherever and whenever you are listening to this program. I am Frosty, and joining me, as always, is my favorite medium in the whole wide world, Jenny Lee. How are you doing, Jenny Lee?
I'm doing pretty good.
Well, we're back after, some summer travels.
Yeah.
Summer travels, which has been good.
Travels to come.
I was hoping to have like a little video out of our Team Weird takeover, and I haven't got it done yet. So my goal is to have that for next time.
Get on it.
Share on the program. We got a good one for you tonight. We're going to be talking about an event we're going to be going to and streaming from. Bring you guys a show
very soon.
From there very soon. And we have Alyson on to join us for the moon phase updates tonight.
Tomorrow's the first day of July. What is happening?
I know, it's going by.
Where did June go?
Super quick. I know. It's like one of those things. Looking at our schedule coming up, it's been hot, and I think just about everybody here probably has been dealing with some kind of heat for their area. No matter, I know maybe for some people up north, it's not quite the heat that we have, but it's just devastating to them.
Remember, we were talking to Maxie, who was in Canada, and it was like 90-some degrees up there.
You get away from the oceans and you lose the temperature. Yeah, temperature. That's why it gets cold there as well. Yeah. But being a hot summer, the heat wave we've just had, the good news about all that is that leaves you the perfect opportunity to stay inside in the nice cold air conditioning and listen and check out the Witching Hours podcast. This is episode 111.
Yeah.
So there's 110 other Witching Hours podcasts, if you haven't caught us before, that you can go check out. And next week, we're going to have Mark Leslie on, where we're going to be talking to paranormal researcher and author Mark Leslie. We are going to be at the Paraconn and driving back on the 14th. So we're actually going to be streaming either on the 12th or the 13th live from the Paraconn. So we'll give you that information. We're going to have Steve Dills from Transcend Paranormal coming on the show on the 21st of July. Yeah, I'm excited to have him back, and also excited to have back Michael Schratt. We're going to have Michael Schratt on to talk about UFO recoveries. If you missed the last episode, that would probably be a good opportunity to go catch up on that before he comes back on again. Because we kind of started at the beginning of the government's involvement in UFO recoveries, and we didn't even make it to Roswell.
We did. Well,
we made it right to Roswell.
We made it like right around Roswell.
Right, so I think we were just getting ready to hit the 1950s. Like we were pretty far back still. So Michael Schratt's going to be back with us in July.
Still so much time to talk about.
We're going to have Nicole PR on. She's going to come on to talk about the Spirit Cat and Witch Cat Oracle decks and her art and calendars. We're going to have Laura Reffeld on in August, who was a witness at the Rendlesham Forest UFO encounter. We're going to have Robert Beto back on to talk about Mexico Unexplained.
Yay, Robert!
So we got a whole lot more coming.
He came back to do Mexico Explained, so he's coming back to do Witching.
Yeah, I know. I was so upset when he quit doing Mexico Unexplained, so I'm really glad to see it back and him ready to go, rejuvenated and ready to get going. So, Jenny, are you ready to get into some news?
Yep.
Our news messed up there. That's okay. The James Webb Telescope locates the first water world.
Ooh.
The James Webb Telescope may have just rewritten the rules.
Is that where Kevin Costner moved to?
Yeah, possibly. The rules of planetary science. Scientists have confirmed the discovery of what could be the first true water world, a planet named, as I'm sure you'll appreciate, Jenny, TOI 1452b, located just 100 light years
from
Earth in the constellation Draco. Lizard people. This isn't just another exoplanet. It's a super Earth about 70% larger in diameter and 5 times more massive than our planet. But here's the twist. Its density is too low to be made of rock and metal, strongly suggesting it's composed largely of liquid water or ice. What makes it even more bizarre is that it orbits its star in only 11 days, meaning it's extremely close. Yet, against all odds, scientists believe that liquid water could still exist on its surface.
Wow.
Thanks to the fact that it orbits a red dwarf star.
Oh, it's a lot cooler.
Mm-hmm. The James Webb
Star
telescope is now preparing to analyze the planet's atmosphere during its next transit to look for water vapor, hydrogen, and possibly even biosignatures, the chemical hints of life.
So long, and thanks for all the fish.
Yeah, if confirmed, this could be the first real step toward proving habitable or even inhabited worlds exist beyond the planet Earth.
Woohoo!
For now, this planet is being called the most Earth-like planet we've ever discovered.
Yay.
It was interesting. I came across a story after our day at the Science Museum where we had we went to go see a whole movie about exoplanets. So yeah. It was pretty interesting. Work begins to create artificial human DNA from scratch. Work has begun on a controversial project to create the building blocks of human life from scratch in what is believed to be a world first. The research has been taboo until now because of concerns it could lead to designer babies or unforeseen changes for future generations. But now, the world's largest medical charity, the Wellcome Trust, has given an initial £10 million to start. All this is happening in Britain, by the way, it seems like, to start the project that says it has the potential to do more good than harm by accelerating treatments for many incurable diseases.
We'll see.
Yeah, the article goes on. I guess we can figure out what that is, though. One of the doctors in the story says the genie is out of the bottle. We could have have a set of restrictions now, but if an organization who has access to appropriate machinery decide to start synthesizing anything, I don't think we could stop them. Dr. Thomas is concerned about how the technology will be commercialized by healthcare companies developing treatments emerging from the research. So, couple ideas here. One is, if you have the ability to alter DNA to be able to get rid of diseases, that's a benefit. But also, where do we stop in terms of I want this baby we're making to have a really good arm so he can be a pitcher, or I don't know. It's the idea of humans playing God, I guess, to a certain degree.
I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot of stuff we can't do right. We can't make a good glue. We can't make a decent road. I don't have much faith in this making humans thing artificially. Whatever.
Well, you have to look at it this way, Jenny, to play devil's advocate for just a second.
He just has one good arm, Keisha, not two.
Yeah, he doesn't need two. He's just going to be a pitcher. But I know you have long pondered the idea that the Greys could be a form of future humans.
I don't know if I think that anymore.
You don't think that? Well, I've heard that.
But there's a lot
out quite a bit.
There's a lot of speculation that
if
our DNA has been tampered with by ETs. So
if there were some race of humans that existed tens of thousands of years from now who needed DNA to be able to breed, this would be the footsteps of how we learned to do it, I guess, right? So.
I don't know. We'll see.
Number 3, New York State resident reports hypersonic orbs in the clouds. A resident living in New York's Upper Hudson Valley reported a strange sight flying in the sky late Saturday night. That was the Saturday night we were in New York, too. The person who maybe was following medium Jenny Lee to New York. Lots of sightings in Connecticut coming up here. The person
we didn't go through that part of New York.
The report even says the object was traveling through the clouds at a hypersonic rate of speed. The sighting once again raises questions if the source is some sort of unidentified flying object or simply something like military aircraft or naturally occurring phenomena. New York has long had a history with unidentified flying objects, as the state ranks 5th overall for sightings across the United States. It's no secret, New York, particularly the state's Hudson Valley, has a long history.
Yes, it does.
Unexplained flying phenomena and other strange lights. As stated many times, these observations of UFOs can be explained sometimes as drones, military planes, communications satellites, or even a murder. We don't want those.
What?
Burning up in the upper atmosphere. What about swamp gas? Well, swamp gas can also be a cause of UFOs, or it could be a hot air balloon, or it could be a weather balloon, or it could be people out flying their, their
They're expensive.
that are the size of a van, because everyone has all the normal guys, all the dads are out on the weekends flying their
van-sized
their
drones.
saucer shaped
Sonic.
car sized.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so sightings in New York. A lot of sightings recently. I also saw quite a list of Bigfoot sightings recently too that I didn't put in the news, but wanted to mention, especially in Utah. I was in Utah and Oregon where there's been a rash of Bigfoot sightings. So something to keep an eye on there. And that was the news.
Nothing too terrible today.
Oh, that's pretty light today.
Yeah.
Pretty light today.
Okay. And now
Thomas Gormley and Charles.
Hold on,
Rosenay.
No, we have to do the July
that's right.
That's update.
Right. We are.
Jeez, Louise.
Hold on. Let's back it up.
Hold your horses
along too
there,
fast.
Frosty.
First off, today we want to bring in our wonderful friend, Alyson, the Priestess of Wonderland, to give us an update on the moon. How are you doing, Alyson?
I almost forgot about it. Alyson!
I know.
Yeah. Well, how did you guys feel about June?
It was so busy for us. I don't even know if I could really
June felt really
get a grasp
good.
on it.
I think
It did feel good though.
June had pretty good. I felt pretty good through June. It was really busy, so it went by really quick.
Yeah.
But overall, I think things kind of.
I was just thinking that, like, I was writing in my moon phase journal today, and I was like, there was a lot of things that could have been really stressful in June, but it wasn't. So it's like all the things that I had to do in the month went by pretty smoothly.
That's great.
Yeah.
June had.
Are you leading us up to some terrible thing for July?
June was like the good month, I think. Like we had
the only one out of the whole 2025.
I know. We had so much happening in the beginning of the year. June was kind of like this little break in this like in between time. And now July and the rest of the year. Well, I think July. I don't think it's going to last the rest of the year, but
okay.
July is just there's so much happening in July that I honestly don't even really know what to say about it. Like I can look at all these things individually and understand, okay, I understand the energy of that, but like having them all happening together all at once, I'm just like, I don't even know what to make of this. So we'll talk about everything individually, but I always, whenever there's all this craziness happening astrologically, I just go back to the moon because that's something that happens. It changes every 2.5 days. It's not a long period of time. We can handle 2.5 days at a time, I think, usually. So we're in the Cancer moon cycle. The sun is in Cancer, and we had our new moon in Cancer on June 25th. So the moon is increasing with energy and light. We're going to have a full moon next week. So the Cancer moon cycle is kind of a really good check-in point from January, because in January we have a Capricorn new moon with a Cancer full moon. And now we have a Cancer new moon with a Capricorn full moon. So it's been 6 months since you set intentions for the year. It's been 6 months since whatever the heck we had to go through this year. And it's kind of just like a midpoint check-in time. And, people are taking vacation this time of year. So you normally get time off and you get to relax and you get to like kind of regroup and recharge. And so that's basically what is happening this month, which is a good thing. It's good to like reset, recharge, and reevaluate. Do you want to keep going with the goals and intentions that you set for the year, or do you want to change everything up and start over again? So the big things that are happening astrologically is that Neptune just changed signs and now it's going retrograde. And Neptune is Aries, and Neptune in Aries is something that we're going to be feeling for a while. But just like Pluto, when Pluto moved into Aquarius last year, it kind of dipped its toe in and then backed up a little bit and then dipped its toe in again. And so we had these opportunities to figure out like, oh, so this is what Pluto in Aquarius looks like. And then we get to go back to Capricorn again. So Neptune is doing that now this year. And so we've had a taste of what Neptune in Aries feels like. And now it's going to retrograde and go back into Pisces again, which Pisces is the home of Neptune. So it's that watery, dreamy, subconscious energy. So we like having it in Neptune, and moving into Aries was like a really big shift because Aries is fiery and spring and starting, and we're going to see like a spiritual evolution with Neptune and Aries. I think it's like new things coming in for spirituality, subconscious, dream energy. So that is happening, going retrograde July 4th. And then it's going to move back into Pisces in October, and it will go direct in December. So this is
It's a long time.
Long time. So now then July 7th through the 13th, Uranus is changing signs, and Uranus is a very volatile planet. It's liberation and freedom. It's the things that like bring revolution and like change and movement forward. So it's been in Taurus, and now it's moving into Gemini. And
yikes.
Yeah. I don't know what to think about this one either, but I mean, I think it's a good thing. So Uranus changes signs every 7 years. And the last time it was in Gemini was 1941 through, where's my dates? I can't see.
I can't think of anything too bad that happened in 1941.
World War II.
Oh, no.
So I think it was 1941 through 49, I think it was. But I don't know. It was the end of the World War II, though, right? So that's resolution somewhat. But then there's the Cold War. I don't know. I'm trying to think positively.
Well, when you said it was revolution in Gemini, it's like, Gemini can't make up its mind. So it feels like it's this up and down, which that period of time is definitely up and down.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I know. So, I mean, I don't think that we'll see much resolution to like the conflicts going on in the world because after Gemini, Uranus will move into Cancer, but that's 7 years from now.
So maybe all these conflicts will be over with in 7 years.
Buckle up.
Put
your helmet on. Get a gas mask now.
Yeah, so it's moving into Gemini July 7th. And then July 10th, we have our Capricorn full moon, which I was talking about earlier. And if you use the Just a Phase Moon Planner, this is the time where you put your gold stars on all of the accomplishments that you've made for this year.
The gold stars.
And it is, I mean, full moons are times of celebration. And with Capricorn needs to take a break and take a rest. So moon can be, I think, very celebratory. And hey, look, I did accomplish things. When you start to reflect on the last 6 months, you're like, oh, I did do some things. Even though we're not there yet, we still accomplished some things. So that's like the big moon thing happening this month, I think, is just, giving yourself a good pat on the back or a gold star for the things that you've accomplished. July 13th, Saturn is going retrograde. Okay. So we're starting to see the retrograde-apalooza happening. Saturn also just moved signs, And so it's doing the same thing. It's like retrograding back into Pisces, and then it's going to come back into Aries, which, I mean, can be kind of like confusing and frustrating. Like, we don't like when planets go retrograde most of the time. But it gives you an opportunity to like learn things and redo things. And so this is an opportunity for us to like go back to Pisces, relearn something, and come back into Aries again and start again. Then July 18th, Mercury is going retrograde, which everybody loves. The lack of communication and technologies going on the fritz. And so, yep, that's happening. Then July 22nd, we have our Leo new moon. So we've got some Leos here, and we love Leo energy, and we love Leo season. We had a Mercury retrograde last summer in Leo season, and I was saying it has the feeling of canceled plans, canceled birthday parties. Like, Leos like to celebrate their birthday the whole month, and it just, with Mercury retrograde, it's like invitations getting lost in the mail, or somebody not getting the invite, or canceled plans. It's raining when you're having an outdoor party. It just has this like things not working out kind of feeling to it, which is not what Leo wants.
No.
Never. So that's on the 24th. Oh, the sun moves into Leo on the 22nd. And then on the 30th of July, Chiron is going retrograde. And Chiron is the wounded healer. So these are kind of the painful lessons that we learn. And they're the lessons that just keep picking at us and picking at us and picking at us. So when it's retrograde, it gives us an opportunity to learn that lesson again.
Yay.
So by the end of July, we have Pluto
Make sure you
retrograde.
have a lot of tissues for July.
Yeah. Pluto went retrograde in May. So we have Pluto, Neptune, Mercury, Saturn, and Chiron all retrograde by the end of the month. And so my advice for this month is to focus on the moon energy, because Cancer is loving and caring and nurturing and wants to support us and wants to take care of us. And Capricorn wants to achieve things. So just take this month to like rest, recharge, regroup, learn the lesson that you thought you already learned over again, and keep moving forward.
Moving forward. Well, we can still
because Mars is direct. Mars and Venus are direct.
Good.
So
at least there's something.
Mars is action and movement. Venus is love, relationships, companionship, compassion.
There we go. I'm a little bit disappointed in the negativity about the Gemini energy there. I mean, we need to appreciate the Gemini energy while we have it. It's not over yet.
Well, okay. Uranus and Gemini is ruled by Mercury, which is the planet of communication. Yeah. So I think during this Uranus Gemini time period, I think we're going to see like advances in technology and communication
and technology. And, you're right. I was just thinking about how Geminis can't make up their mind about anything. Hey. But hey. Thank you, Alyson.
You're welcome. Good luck to everybody for
enjoy this last day of June.
Thank you so much, Alyson. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
All right.
And
now I'm not jumping. Thomas Gormley and Charles F. Rosenay. Charles is no stranger to things that go bump in the night. He is the founder of Connecticut's largest indoor haunted attraction and the author of True Ghost Stories of Connecticut and the book of Top 10 Horror Lists. Charles has acted in many films, mostly monster movies. He is the host, organizer of the annual Dracula Tours to Transylvania. We talked a little bit about that last time. That's awesome. In the summer of 2026, he'll be hosting a ghost tour to England. Thomas Patrick Gormley is the archangel of the paranormal. He is one of the most respected names in both the paranormal community and in the study of true crimes, with over 4 decades of experience in both fields. He is both a shaman, criminologist, and an expert on serial killers. Together with Charles, Thomas promotes Paraconn, the Connecticut Witch Fest, Salem's Paranormal and Horror Convention, and the Connecticut Psychic Fair Fest. Paraconn is presented by the Shaman and the Showman. Please welcome to the show tonight, Charles Rosenay and Thomas Gormley. How are you guys doing tonight?
Woo! We're so glad to be here.
We're excited to have you guys on here.
Well,
Yeah.
I was about to crawl into my bunker from all those planet phases. I think I'm gonna have to hide. Charles, you can do the Paraconn on your own. I'm hiding.
I want to produce a Paraconn on that new planet.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Get your wetsuits.
And it was absolutely crazy. Like, I don't want to take up a lot of time with it, but we went to this. We went to our local science museum, and we went to like the planetarium part where we watched like a movie. But as we were getting ready for like the second part of it, up on the planetarium screen, they had like a little circle for every exoplanet they've discovered so far, and like the distance from us. And so as you're leading up to the movie you're going to watch, it gets to like 700-800 light years away, and essentially the whole night sky was filled with that. It's just
Thousands
like
and thousands
it's just
and
insane.
thousands,
It's insane.
yeah.
So anyway, that kind of matched up with what we were talking about there. So that's why I put that in the news. And as far as World War III, we'll just hope for the best, right? I mean, there's always hope. We just hang in there. We just hang in there.
Yikes.
So we got a lot of stuff I want to talk to you guys with tonight, but I guess we'll start off with the big thing, which was what we have coming up here, which is Paraconn. Tell everybody who's in here a little bit about what we have coming up.
Well, it's our 5th annual Paraconn, first time ever. It's the Paranormal Convention and True Crimes Conference. So we're adding that element to it. First time ever that we have live music. We've got Painted Owls coming from Houston, Texas, and they'll be performing outside, right where the food trucks are. And inside, it's, oh my gosh, 70 tables of vendors and readers and psychics. Great podcasters are going to be doing stuff live from our event. I can't imagine who those are going to be. We've got a paranormal investigation on Saturday night after the convention as our after-con event. And for the first time, we don't just have, we have 30 plus special guests, which is twice as many as we've ever had. But we've got a legendary special guest of honor from the legacy paranormal end of things. That's great. That's funny. Johnny Zaffis, of course, who was the godfather of paranormal. The man was the host of the TV show Haunted Collector, and he's the nephew of the Warrens. But for the first time, we're doing a celebrity legacy special guest out of the paranormal norm, but someone that everyone's just so psyched about. They want to meet him. They can't wait to actually take a picture, get his autograph. Eddie Munster himself, Butch Patrick, is going to be there. So all these elements, it's so exciting. I'm just, you can hear in my voice how psyched we are for July 12th and 13th in Waterbury, Connecticut for Paraconn with 2 N's.
How did you get Eddie Munster?
We went to 1313 Mockingbird Lane. Knocked on the door. Okay. Herman went, welcome, in this booming voice. Really invited us in. We just saw Eddie with his woofy doll, with a woof woof, and we've been friends for many years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Butch Patrick and myself go way back. So it was just a case of inviting him and him saying, of course I'll be there.
Wow.
It's kind of funny because a lot of times on this podcast, when we talk to guests, it's a certain kind of people that usually get into the paranormal and horror movies and science fiction and UFOs. And a lot of times you can trace that back to the kinds of things they watched on TV when they were young. And so like for me, starting this podcast is like I watched In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy and Unsolved Mysteries, and I listened to Coast with Art Bell. Yep. But, another thing that, I did when I was a little kid, and, I'm not from around when that show originally aired, but I guess it was probably on Nickelodeon. I remember watching reruns of The Munsters. And so probably something else that kind of helped influence my interest in the paranormal, right?
Yep.
Yeah, everything is, adjacent. And The Munsters was great for the kids who were too afraid of the real Frankenstein's, Draculas, and Wolfmans, and all the Universal monsters. So they maybe gravitated towards the Munsters, perhaps the Addams Family. In later years, cartoons like Paranorman or The Corpse Bride. You can see the transition from year to year to year of things that we love, and hopefully new generations of people will also somehow find interesting, and then it'll lead them to hopefully explore all the trees branches of cryptoids, of UFO, of paranormal, and on and on.
Yeah, it's like it enters like it's almost a good stepping stone too for people who maybe get into that at first. Like some people might get into Star Trek, and then they get that interest, and then they get into more deeper down the rabbit hole, I guess we would say.
Rabbit hole? Did you say rabbit hole?
There's a lot of those.
Yeah, I have a tendency to trip and fall down them quite a bit, but well, that's wonderful. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of great guests at Paraconn this year. Some that we've had right here on this program. I have the list here. So I brought up, we've had Sam Baltruzis on the show a few times. We recently had Ron Iacovetti and Lourdes Gonzalez on talking about the digital seance experience.
Yep.
Do you know if they're going to be running that at the event, the digital seance? Or you guys?
Yes, they did ask me to make sure they had a power supply, so they're probably going to be running that.
It's really interesting. Have you seen that before? Have you been able to see that before?
I've seen it. Well, Charles, I don't know if you remember, Ron and Lourdes were up at the last Mass Paraconn that Sam Baltruzis ran, and they were running it up there. So you may have missed it because we were like running around with chicken head cut off,
Believe me, I get it. I've seen it twice now. The first, I've always been kind of skeptical of spirit boxes and kind of like where things are being filtered through a machine. I don't know how it works. So it's like, I don't know where this noise is coming from, and granted, I'm not that big of an engineer, but being able to talk to them the last time on the show, that's something I'm really excited to see again, because they were able to explain some of the technology as well as my brain can understand the engineering part of it. But yeah, so they're going to be there. So if you're interested in that, that's really great. Looking at some other people that we've had on this show, Heidi Kemper, a wonderful medium. I'm super excited to be able to talk to Heidi again. Adam Began, who's been on the show before, who has a wonderful podcast as well. I mean, he does a ton of things. He's going to be there. So a lot of people who have been friends of this program are going to be there, and a lot of people we haven't met yet and get to kind of see and go visit and listen, to all the things that are happening there. Also, as they said, we are going to be doing a live, we'll be getting a live show for you guys from there. So hopefully we can have a lot of these wonderful guests who are going to be up there. I mean, there's a page, guys. I have to scroll down. You guys have so many awesome people.
The first time I looked at it, I was trying to look at it on my phone, and I was missing a whole column of people. 30 special guests. I don't know if I've ever seen any kind of convention that had.
Yeah, we got a little carried away. I mean, what you mentioned, kind of, it's what's great is we get to meet people who we only maybe have interviewed or have been interviewed by, or we get to talk, on the air with them, or on social media, and we're gonna be in the same breathing area. We'll be able to meet them and buy their books and get readings from them and actually have conversations in true life. It's going to be so special.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun time.
Yeah.
So how did Paraconn get started? You said this is the 5th year. So does that mean the first year was 2020?
Literally, yeah. Did we skip a year? No, right? We did it right after COVID. Right. COVID, literally, we considered ourselves the first event that people were able to go to in this crazy haunted state of Connecticut. And I remember at the time, saying, well, if we get 100 people a day, we'll be ecstatic. And as we were getting closer, we had, 200, 300 was creeping up. And then when the weekend came and we had 2,000 people, like, and a lot of it, of course, was because people were just stir crazy, waiting to get out and do something special. So every year we try to make it a little better. put on more things, add true crime, add the special guests, do make it better and better and better. But it just came about because, I was so much immersed in the horror field, and someone just said, why don't you do a paranormal convention? And I said, okay. And there weren't any in Connecticut at the time. And, I'm sure there were all these little psychic fairs. We do psychic fairs now 4 times a year as well. But I never would have thought that it would have taken over, like jumped ahead of all the horror stuff and all the other things that I do to become really with the Shaman and the Showman, and Thomas is my partner, really my main focus in promotions and activities.
Yeah. Paranormal is just one of those things that's really blew up. It's amazing how many people are interested in the actual investigation part of it now too, not just watching on TV or watching a horror film, but they actually want to go out there and get answers for themselves, which I think is a great thing.
Thomas and I do a lot of library appearances as the Shaman and the Showman, and we'll come in and we'll do our talk. We'll usually show them how to use the equipment, and then it's question and answers. But we'll usually start the event with, okay, raise your hand. How many people in here believe in ghosts? Just cut to it as simply as they can understand. Literally every hand goes up. And then it's, well, how many of you have had a paranormal encounter, a paranormal experience? And then again, the majority of the hands go up. So we already know that our audience is in the same, ilk and in the same motivational brain as we are. And it's more and more, I think, out in the open, more and more prevalent. People don't hide if they see things in the middle of the night or under the bed, or, it's not a sin to say it anymore. It's not something to hide. It's a gift. It's a gift, whereas before it was like, I have to take them to a therapist. Now it's like, let's explore it. Let's tap it. Let's make it let's further it and make it for the betterment of that person and the people they can help, and the energies and the spirits they can help, which is what my partner does, man. Does every level.
Yeah, I guess to a certain degree, that kind of connects with what we were talking about earlier, where the Munsters kind of maybe brought some of that to mainstream families, where they could sit around and watch the Munsters when maybe they weren't going to sit around and watch, like you said, the Universal monster movies or something. Maybe that happened with the early ghost shows too. Like it was something where people were able to kind of see that happen on TV, and it kind of broke the taboo of being able to go and do that yourself.
Yeah, that was a big thing back then when the TV shows started coming out. It seems like in our country, or just our consciousness, every time something big happens, where people are questioning our life here and where we go, something comes out. A lot of people don't realize is 9/11 happened, and just after that, all the shows started coming out.
You're right.
This tragedy happened, and people are looking for answers. It's the same thing in the beginning of seances and all that back in the Victorian times, because people were dying of Spanish flu or yellow fever or anything. People wanted answers, and it keeps going that way, and it keeps evolving, and we keep seeing more and more, and people become more and more accepting of it and trying to learn, because I say it all the time, you're never 100% right or wrong about the paranormal. It's the chase. It's having those experiences. It's being curious. And Charles and I, when we do these events, we have people come to all of our events to learn, but also to be in a safe place to talk about this weird stuff and not be judged, and be able to do that and have fun at the same time. That's what we provide for people, and that's why we love it so much.
You bring up a good point about, why, this is a reason to come out to a con, coming out to Paracons with 2 N's, and that's something we found out, because just a couple of years ago, we went to a Paracon for the first time, and it was like, oh, wow, like, I don't know, like sometimes I don't like to leave my home as much as I should. And sometimes it's like, there's going to be a lot of people there. And like, I don't know if I'm done. But what I really realized going to these now is that I get to go to a place where I have a lot of stuff in common with people. And I like to talk, hence the reason we have a podcast, right? And so it becomes like a really good, it became like, wow, what have I been missing out on? Because all these people want to talk about the same things I want to talk about. And as I mentioned earlier, sometimes, we don't just have an interest in maybe paranormal investigation. A lot of these people are going to be people who liked horror movies and people who liked, talk about UFOs also, and have maybe gone on some Bigfoot expeditions and also are into true crime. Just mentioning earlier, Unsolved Mysteries was a great example of that, where you could have a UFO, spot on an episode, and then also a missing person. So it was like anything that had to do with that mystery or paranormal was, so these are great things for people to go to be able to go out and actually feel like you're kind of part of the group that's there. I feel like.
I'm a convention guy. I mean, there's a celebrity signing show in New Jersey that used to be all horror called Chiller Theater. It drives me crazy if I miss one of them. I've been producing Beatles conventions since the 70s. Wow. So if I could attend a horror convention,
you old fart.
horror convention, a Comic-Con, and now the paranormal shows, it's just you're in a room with like-minded people, and it's just always a great vibe, and it's always the greatest people. People who don't know and don't have that shared experience are always like, okay, but no, it's not. It's the warmest, usually very intelligent, and then great, best-hearted people at conventions.
Yeah,
really.
Even though it's things like this have gotten less taboo over time, and like more and more people are willing to share their experiences or talk about it, there's still a lot of people out there who, in their day-to-day life, in their real world living, they don't have those people to interact with or to share their stories or to feel comfortable sharing it with. So yeah, conventions like this are an absolutely wonderful place to, what you said, safe space to share your experiences and meet other people that feel the same way that you do.
Yes.
Yeah, probably one of the biggest things is just, the whole weekend is filled with everything. Paraconn, 2ends.org, you see all the guests that are coming. But most importantly, Butch Patrick, Eddie Munster, of course, and then the godfather of the paranormal himself, Johnny Zaffis, who's actually going to be helping us at an event, our after Paraconn event Saturday night, which people, I think we have a few reservations left. It is at CT Paraconn with the 2 N's at gmail.com. You email us. All right. That way we could get your email, all your contact info, and how you could get in. And that way we could streamline everything for you. So when you come, you're not having to do all this extra stuff. So that's the way. It's separate from the Paraconn in a way. But Johnny Zaffis is going to be, you're going to get to ghost hunt with Johnny Zaffis.
So what location is he going to be?
That is going to be it's going to be at the Elks Lodge in Waterbury, Connecticut. It's known to be pretty haunted from what we're getting from the patrons and the Elks members that are there. Probably another big thing is that, Charles and I will be there. The Shaman and The Showman will be with Johnny Zaffis. And also we're going to have 2 other special guests. Dr. Letriana Brown, who appeared on the TV show Repossessed on Hulu, and also on Paraflix and Amazon Prime. She's also the head of Wardruna, which I'm part of. I'm one of the directors of it, and it's a healing service, and it's the Wardruna experience. So my friend Stacia Wills will be there. So it'll be all of us together, get to hang out with our 20 to 30 plus patrons that are going to be allowed. It's very exclusive. And we're going to be having a dinner beforehand.
Nice.
And probably the coolest thing is Butch Patrick will be at the dinner. So you'll be able to have dinner with Butch Patrick, ghost hunt with John Zaffis and the rest of the crew. It'll be pretty amazing. So you have to join it. So there's very few tickets left. But also, it's very important. Yeah, because if you come Saturday, great. But Sunday's going to be different speakers. So you have to make the whole weekend. Do all 3 things. Just taking the experience. You're going to be in the most haunted, I say the most haunted state in the country. And I know Charles will agree with me because we do have his book about the haunted, true haunted stories and all that. So that's a big thing too, because Charles will tell you we're working on the second version of it.
Yes. Shout out to anybody who has any wow paranormal experiences that will blow people's minds, but they have to be true. And they have to be either Connecticut or surrounding areas. Volume 2 of True Ghost Stories of Connecticut will be True Ghost Stories of Connecticut, Volume 2, plus other parts of New England. So if there's anyone out there who has any of those experiences that they'd like to share, I'll put it in the book. And I'll be signing copies of the book. You know, Frosty, you mentioned some of the guests who've been on your show who are going to be at the convention. Thomas mentioned some of the people who are participating. But go to the website, because it's like you don't want to leave someone out. You know, you mentioned Baltrusis, we don't mention Kenneth Drake, you know, the celebrity, psychic. And we don't want to leave anyone out. So please visit the website and just see who the guests are, because you want to kind of go in knowing, wait, I have to see this person. Oh, if I have time, I'll get to see this person. To us, they're all equal. To us, they're all important. And to us, they're all very valuable assets to the show.
Yeah.
And that Paraconn link is pinned to the top of Twitch, and it's been shared on Facebook, the Facebook stream, and over on the Spirit Realm Network page as well.
Yeah, if you're listening later, all those links will be down in the description below.
Great.
Yeah. One of the other things I want to say is Charles and I, when we do these events, we want to make sure everybody's having a good time. We're running around with a chicken with our heads cut off, just making sure everybody has fun and are able to talk to us and all that. But we can't do everything. So this year we have 2 people that are going to be emceeing the event for us and all the guest speakers. Again, our buddy who emcees for us all the time, Mike Roser. And also this year we'll have Monique Too Soon will be the other MC helping us out too. So it's quite an eclectic group we're going to have, and it's going to be exciting.
There's a lot going on. That investigation night is like once in a lifetime experience for sure.
Yes, it really is. And, you know, we've done a lot of these investigations, and we always get unbelievable results. But we're going to a place that I don't know if has ever been explored before. If it has, I mean, I don't know anyone who's ever done it. But when we visited there, you know, we spoke to the bartender. She's not a young kid. She works there. She's the regular managing bartender at this Elks Club, which has a bar. It has a bowling alley in the basement. It has multiple floors. It has an old dance hall. It has a lot of these amazing rooms. And she said, I got to share something with you. And that's why my ears perk up. I always love hearing that. She goes, I'm the one who closes up at night, and I walk away from this building, and I can't count how many times I've seen the light go on the 3rd floor where nobody gets to go. I go, will we be able to go there? She says, oh, yeah, definitely. But there's definitely a spirit, and it turns on the light. I don't know if it's like, you know, how theaters have the ghost light. I don't know what happens, but at this
it's literally a ghost light.
Ghost club, for some reason a spirit, some kind of an entity turns on a light late at night.
Wow.
It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of energy in Elks Lodge. All the rituals that they've done, all that hanging out. You know, the Elks have a tradition. I don't think we'll be there at the time at 11 o'clock. They always toast the members that have passed, and that's an every night thing at 11 o'clock. So when you're putting that type of energy into a place, a social place like that, there's a lot of energy out there and a lot of crazy things that could happen. And then we're going to bring all of our energy in. In a nice building that's been around in Waterbury for a long time. So it's going to be exciting. Again, CT Paraconn, 2 N's at gmail.com for your reservations. But most importantly, like I said before, get tickets to all 3 days. Don't miss out. Don't say, I wish I was, or the 3 events.
Yeah.
So the Saturday, Sunday, and the night event. I just want to make sure that you get the whole thing. I don't want you to be at home and people talking about, oh, it was so exciting. It's like, oh, I missed it. No, don't miss anything. Be at everything. So.
Well, I have to ask, because I'm not familiar with the location that you guys are having it. Is this where you've had all the other Paracons at, or have you changed to different venues?
No. So for 3 years, we had it at an old armory, and we loved it because it was an old armory, but there's no air conditioning. And
in July,
vendors are, you're killing us. So we moved it to an interim place last year, and now this one is in Waterbury. And Waterbury is known for a lot of strange stuff. So it fits the town.
Mhm.
It's one of the most central parts of the state. So people can come from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. On the other side, they can come from all parts of New England. And then, our dearest friends are flying in to be there. So yeah, we're happy with the location. It's a giant old school gym. And there's places where people will be able to hear the speakers talk, the vendors areas. The guests will be included with the vendors. They'll have tables too. And I think it's going to be just probably one of the best, if not the best, paranormal convention, certainly that we've ever done. Hopefully that everyone who attends will feel the same way. Yeah.
Has there been any talk or anything known about that particular venue having any hauntings?
Great question. We didn't ask. And, I'm one of these people, and I know Thomas is not going to agree with me, but I don't want to know if a school is haunted. I don't want to know if it's, if there were things that happen with kids. Let it be in homes, let it be in theaters, let it be in religious institutions. I'll go on and give you every possible scenario where I'm okay with paranormal investigation and it being haunted or it having, residual energy or spirits. I don't want to know if a school is.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, you want your kids to be safe and not have to go through that. But there is some history of some schools.
Yeah.
And really, out of all this time I've been in Connecticut, if it was haunted, probably would have known by now. So.
Yeah, I was just wondering because there's gonna be so many mediums and so many paranormal investigators coming to this place. If it is, they're gonna find out.
Yep.
I tell you, it's going to be the most grounded place in the country.
Yeah.
Those people don't go in like willy nilly. They're going to ground themselves. They're going to be ready to pick up on your energy and keep you safe. So I'll tell you that much.
I lived in Rhode Island for a few years. That's my only experience as a New Englander. I was a New Englander for 3 years, and I went to an old. My class was in the old schoolhouse, which was built in the 1800s in near Newport, Rhode Island. And I know that place. And I was only like 9 when I went there, and I knew then that there was something there. So you never know. Some of these things are just old enough that there's got to be something there.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on what you said, Charles, it doesn't have to be that something bad happened there for it to be haunted. I mean, a school, especially if it's old, that's years and years and years of thousands of people going in and out and leaving little bits of their energy all over the place. And
could be a lot of positive energy,
residual things, and people that work there forever. And there's a lot of options there. That doesn't mean it has to be something negative.
Jenny, thanks for saying that, because people will ask me, why a place is inhabited or haunted, and I give reasons based out of this short time that I've been in this paranormal world, and I think it's a lot of times it's a place that people had their happiest moments in. They don't want to leave a home, they don't want to leave a church. So with that in mind, a school would make sense for more positive, right?
Yes. We can think about it that way, because it's also those things. Yep.
I could tell you.
Would you agree with that, Thomas?
After a lot of time doing this, I tell people I've been doing this so long that the Dead Sea was only sick at the time, and and a lot of experiences from really bad that you never want to talk about again to give it power, all the way up to beautiful things that Charles and I have gotten to be able to do to help spirit make that transition.
Yes,
that's kind of my thing. That's in this industry. That's what I'm known for. To the point where there's some locations that don't want me there, because they think I'm going to get rid of all their ghosts that they're making money off of. So, but that's not what I do. And Charles knows. My spirit guides, when I communicate with the other spirit to say, if you need help and you want to leave and you just need some assistance, just call his name. And Charles has heard my name come through ITC devices, and pendulums have spelled my name out, and you name it. And that's when I know to go to work. But if something doesn't want to leave, I'm not going to make it go leave.
Mhm.
Well, that brings
Why?
up an interesting question, because this is something we've had guests, and I guess I've seen both sides of this.
Mhm.
I don't really know where I come down on it, but we've had some come on the show who say it's like part of their job. Like if they know that a spirit wants to move on, it's time for them to move on. And that's like part of the connection they have with the spirit realm or source or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. On the other hand, we've had people that come on the show who say, you know, when we go to a haunted location, we also have to be respectful of the people who own the property.
Yeah.
And so, you know, do you want to go to this really famous haunted location and then clear everybody out? Again, you know, so where do you come down on that? What is like kind of the ethics of that to a certain degree?
Well, for me personally, would you want to be put in jail against your will?
No,
Okay,
definitely not.
that's the answer. So
Yeah, but
if somebody could unlock the jail door and say, "Hey, it's your decision. You could walk out of this jail and go home."
Yeah.
You know, somebody's
Yeah.
got to be able to give that to you. But yeah, you want to be respectful of the location. But I'm going to tell you something. When you help something pass along, transitionally, it doesn't really, it goes maybe to the next level, but some spirits that have already passed along still come through. Once a location is haunted, it usually stays haunted. So me letting somebody go or help them, they make the decision themselves. It's not me. I'm just the conduit. My spirit guides give me the words to say to them. I'm not doing it. You know, there's no ego when it comes to that. I'm just the conduit to say what I need to say to help.
But I
Yeah, I
don't
get
know.
that.
I don't know if you were hinting at a location that professes to be haunted and then does it for commercial purpose, and you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Proud of do they not want anything to move on because now that's their cash cow? I mean,
I think that, I'm sure there's, because, you know, what do they call, like ghost tourism or whatever, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's become a thing. I mean, there's lots of people who are buying haunted properties.
Yeah.
I mean, for that reason. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not good stewards of what's happening there. But I also imagine they wouldn't want to invest a whole lot of money all of a sudden for it not to be haunted anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is the difference is Charles and I do a lot of these events so we can help people.
Yeah.
You know, whatever comes in and educate and help people. You know, I'm assuming these locations do also. I know a lot of them are really good and they're respectful. I do have friends that run the Ohio State Reformatory that are part of my Wardruna group, and they're very respectful and all that. And there's things that'll move in and out. You know, they're not saying don't move things on, but they're open to that also because the place is so huge.
Yeah.
But, you know, for somebody to get, I've had people come in my face and yell at me to say, don't make my spirits leave.
Okay.
Now they're disrespecting me and my abilities and all that. So
Yeah.
you know, but that's like, you know, but I never want to be negative about anything, but I never want anything to be hostage if it doesn't want to be here anymore.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I was, you know, it's just a question, because I don't really know where I come down on. I can see things kind of from both views, but I think, you know, if someone is running a you know, doing it well, like I'll just use, for example, we had mentioned previously that we went out to Lake Shawnee, and, you know, that was one thing. I don't know if you've had the chance to be out there yet. Have either of you been able to? It's an interesting place to go. And of course, it has a Native American burial ground that was found there. But, you know, there's also a huge benefit there of the guy who does own that land is saving the money he gets from the tourism there to like build a memorial for the Shawnee people. There's tons of like, hey, like this is how I respect the Shawnee that are here. And so you feel a little bit better about getting involved in it, knowing that like these things you're running into, like there's people there that are helping them.
Yeah.
And, you know, rather than just like kind of making a sideshow out of it or whatever.
Yeah. That's purpose. That site has purpose. If you're just doing it to make money and you don't care about the haunt, and you're not respectful of it, then you're do something else, please.
And you're probably not getting rid of the Shawnee people either. They're probably right where they want to be.
Yeah.
So
they're loving it. They're protecting their land. So believe you me, I know.
And that's one of the things I love about the Shaman and the Showman. Thomas, if he gets a call and someone needs their home, you know, something is you know, not kosher and there's issues, he wouldn't even think to charge You know, he wouldn't even say, well, yeah, I'll come over, but he's when can I be there? How can I help?
Yeah.
And it's not just helping the people, you know, not just helping the people who are alive. He wants to help the other side too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we do that a lot, you know. Like I've talked about my group Wardruna that I'm the director of. It's everything from point A to point Z, and that Charles is involved in, and he helps us promote that too. There'll be 11 members at Paraconn this year. It's going to be a wall of energy, a lot of healers and all that, and you name it, medical professionals, Reiki masters, people that do EMDR, dietitians, herbalists. We have doctors out of the Cleveland Clinic. We have VA, so, you know, to help people with PTSD coming out of the military. So you name it. We're working with somebody right now that we're trying to get aboard that actually helps the spirit world of animals to help.
Yes, that's locked in. We have he's a pet psychic, pet healer. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're trying to get that all going, but he'll be at Paraconn, and you know we want to try and get him involved with what we do and this whole healing network. You know, Charles has his Drac tours that he does and the Beatles stuff, and then we do our stuff together with Paraconn and you know the Connecticut Witch Festival coming up, the Salem Paraconn and Horror Fest, all the ghost hunts we do, all the psychic fairs we do each season of the year. It's a lot of stuff, and we have our secondary things that we do. But Wardruna has been in the works for 20 years now. We've perfected the process, and it works. And people that would usually pop a pill thinking something's wrong with them, we figure it out holistically, and they avoid those things. And you know, they think they're having a paranormal experience where there might be some trauma going on. Help them heal for the trauma the right way. If it's beyond my purview, I send them to our therapist. Our therapist works with them, and maybe bring them back to us so we could continue where we left off because we took care of that one specific problem. And people are going to be able to learn about that with the Wardruna experience that's going to be at Paraconn. But there's so many other things, all the vendors, all the people that have written books. There's going to be people there with, items that have to do with true crime and hauntings and things like that. You got a little of everything. And Charles and I are just blown away. I know we got a lot of guests this year, but I think they all have something to say, and I think they're going to all bring individually something to someone. They're going to touch at least one person's life or hundreds, so hopefully thousands of people that come, and that would be fantastic.
That's really interesting. I'd like to learn more about that because I know a little bit about what's going on with Wardruna, but it's very interesting. And I guess the one thing I could say about that I know to be true in a very small sample size is that if you need help, definitely go talk to a therapist. Definitely go talk to someone who's good with mental health. But I will also say that a lot of times I found in my very limited experience that a lot of times your therapist may also have their medium and their psychic that they're talking to as well, or their shaman and things like that. So a lot of these things can be very interconnected. We have some questions that are coming from chat real quick, and I want to get to those, but it is the top of the hour. It is 9:00, so I just wanted to reset things real quick. If you're just joining us, we're talking about Paraconn. That's going to be July 12th and 13th in Waterbury, Connecticut. We're super excited. We're going to be there. We're going to do a live stream from there. And we're going to get as many people to swing by and come talk to us about what's going on there. And we'll be excited to be able to share that with all of you. And tonight we are joined by the Shaman and the Showman, and we're talking Paraconn and a whole bunch of other things. And we're going to have a link to Paraconn so you can buy tickets and all of that listed down below. If you're listening later, it's in the description. If you're watching us now, it's pinned up at the top of the chat, and you can find that at Paraconn with 2 N's.org. So you can go check that out. All right. So a couple of questions from chat. One from Luce here, actually 2 from Luce. A comment first. We were talking about if you were to pass on spirits, Luce was saying people will then just create thought forms to replace the actual spirits, which I think is something that does happen quite a bit. Or places that haunted get new, like, I have a feeling that places are haunted often get extra things that are there because of urban legends and things like that. Yeah, definitely for a certain extent. But the question from Lucy was, how did you start your shaman journey? I'm trying to start mine, but want to be the most respectful to all cultures.
It's not, you could do shamanistic practices. You could learn about the shaman way and all that, but it's a calling. It's with anything. A priest has a calling to be a priest, but a shaman, it's not a particular religion. It's just a spiritual journey. And for me, it's been knocking on the door. And I've said this before, it's kind of funny. It's like the movie McFly, Wake Up McFly. It's like that your whole life. And you go through that battle of what am I? And then people recognize it in you and they help you on that journey. But it's your own journey. And there's so many different kinds of shaman. I'm not very ritualistic in a way, but I do travel from both sides of the veil to be able to communicate with the spirits to help people, or have the knowledge to be able to teach and help my community to learn more about it, which it is. It's the shaman is always the one with the knowledge, and to be able to communicate with the ancestors and the spirits and to help people heal. That's what I do. A lot of other people have different journeys, but that's my journey, and that's my shaman journey. It's not the same as everybody else. Shamanism isn't exactly the same for everybody. It does change. It depends on your particular calling. It's like us, we go out into the work field. Some people become doctors, whatever. It's still the working field. And we're all working. What's our main thing? I'm a shaman. This is what I do as a shaman. So.
I already love that in the question, that person put that they want to be respectful and, with the cultures. That's already 80% there. Because the intent is good, is correct.
Right? Like if you're not even thinking about being respectful, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the journey. Just so you know, when you're part of the journey, it's when you have to let go of what we call ego. Right? You got to remember, as a shaman, it's not me doing it. I'm a conduit. I call these things in and they work through me and they give me message and I pass it along. It's almost like a mediumship in a way, but it's at a different, higher level of consciousness than most. And I always tell people there's so many different kinds of mediums or psychics, all at different levels. You could have the psychic that's like Tiger Woods as a golfer, but then you could have a weekend golfer. They're still psychics. There's so many different strengths to it and all that. And you get to those different levels by leveling up, talking to fellow shamans or psychics. And sometimes when you're around them, that energy builds and it just makes you better at your craft. Everybody has it. It's a muscle you have to exercise. And, all of us have that driving and say, I think I'm going to take a right today. And you don't know why. And then you find out there's a huge accident. That's still a psychic ability.
So, well, here's a question, because I don't know a whole lot more about differentiating between like mediumship and what is the definition of shaman. But for instance, like I read runes, I'm still on my journey with that, reading, the runes and stuff like that. But I would kind of consider that like a shamanistic kind of thing where it's like, or even the tarot to a certain degree, because like you're kind of like, you're talking about channeling from somewhere else. And to me, that's kind of how it comes through. Is there a difference there? Well,
no, it's a tool.
Yeah.
It's a tool of your craft. All right. A baseball player has a baseball bat to hit the ball. It's a tool. All right. I always tell a lot of people, it's your intention that you put into it. I know a lot of people might use sage or something like that. For me, I could take my mouse here. If I put enough intent into my mouse to clear something, I could do it. It is intent. It's you, it's your body, it's your belief, it's your getting rid of ego, letting the spirit world work through you and help people and help the other spirits that might need get over some trauma, just like us in normal life. I put somebody on the couch in normal life, same thing. The meat suit's gone, the spirit's still there with some consciousness. And they may be stuck with something, didn't know that they died. I've had spirits where I showed them their death certificate. Just so they know that, you have to show them literally. You're showing it to some space. I'll have an SLS camera, and I know there's something there facing me, and I could show it that direction. There's been some crazy stuff that has happened over the years, and a lot of experience that, and Charles has got to experience it, and our patrons that come to our events get to experience it. And sometimes some of our events, ghost hunts have been very profound and off the chain, and that's what brings a lot of the people come back over and over again. We get a lot of regulars, and, which is always great to see all of them. And a couple of them come to all of our events, and they're, we're mentoring them right now, and we love having them, and they're part of it, and we love teaching and having these events. People are learning and having fun. That's what it's all about. Let's learn about it and let's have fun. That's all it's about. So.
Wonderful. I just wanted to mention, Thomas, the baseball language isn't lost on me.
Yeah.
I just went to Cooperstown, New York, and I was able to pick up the tarot of baseball, which
I knew I was saying that for some reason. I do that to Charles all the time. Charles will be somewhere, and I'll call him up. Hey, Charles, we should do an event here, and he's actually at the location. And it's just why do I have this feeling to call Charles?
It was kind of a synchronicity because I was visiting. My dad met us there, and he's been really interested. He started paranormal. I mean, he's in his 70s now, and he just started paranormal investigation. And he's like really into wanting to learn more about possibly becoming a medium, like if he can do that kind of stuff. And he asked me over the weekend. He said, "Hey, is it true like anybody can do it?" And I said, "Well, this is the way I kind of think of it." I said, some people are born Ken Griffey Jr. Like they just have a natural talent. Like they're going to be really good at it no matter what. And I was like, some people are just kind of like they're born with like little leaguers. Like they can play, they can do it, but unless they work really hard, they never, get it up to whatever level they want to put the work in for. Mm-hmm. So once you put in the baseball words there, I had to share that with you because I felt like we had to go over it.
There's a purpose for everything sometimes. Yeah. You never know why you're saying what you're saying until somebody verifies. And now I know, so I must have picked up on that.
Thomas must be psychic or something.
There we go.
Something like that.
Synchronicities are always fun, always fun. We have about 20 minutes left in the show, so I just want to let chat know if you have any questions, feel free to get them in there to ask the Shaman and the Showman. Any questions about any of the other things, the books, and of course Paraconn coming up, feel free to put that in chat. What other questions should you have, Jenny?
So this year seems like it's pretty magnificent, and you have a ton of people coming, and it's a couple weeks away and you're still getting people signed up to come. What are your goals for it for the future?
Well, we have no rest. 2 weeks later, we have the Connecticut Summer Psychic Fair Fest that's taking place at a beautiful large brewery, and it's called Dudleytown Brewery in Windsor, Connecticut. Windsor, of course, being one of those cities that witches were unfortunately put to trial in. One of the
first one, Alyson.
Very first one was in that area. And then a month later in August, we've got the Connecticut Witch Festival. We do that now once a year. Last year was the first time we did it. And it's a 2-day event. It's a free admission event to raise awareness. It took years for the witches to be exonerated, absolved of even being called witches. It was a disgrace. So we celebrate their existence. We celebrate the Connecticut finally passing all the whatever was needed to recognize that, they weren't guilty. So we have a convention there. And then in November, we got the Salem Paranormal and Horror Convention. So, it's what do we plan? Next year, another Paraconn, hopefully. But it's endless. And as long as people, support it, and as long as we get new guests and come up with great ideas, we might have gone a little overload on this one with adding adding a rock band to play outside.
We gotta hit it out of the ballpark.
There we go. Go for the grand slam. Yeah.
We grand slam.
Well, it's great though, because it's one of those things where Well, this is one of the things I talk about, with our show as well. Like a lot of these things intersect. We were talking about that earlier. Like someone who's into paranormal investigation, they don't necessarily have to be, but I find that most time they have some kind of interest in UFOs. And if you're into UFOs and you're into paranormal investigation, then chances are you've at least watched a couple shows about Bigfoot, right? So like one thing that I like about this Paraconn is you guys kind of recognize the fact that horror, paranormal, all these things are kind of intertwined, and that even shows with your guests, because there's going to be a lot of different people there that are going to fit lots of different areas of expertise as well.
Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah.
One of our guests, Jimmy Pettinino, he was the videographer for the Warrens, but he's a very well versed on UFOs and that type of world. If you want to talk UFOs, go to Jimmy's table. Just go to everybody's table and learn a little bit about what everybody carries. But Jimmy is quite the character. I still think he's an alien himself, but that's what makes him such a great personality and a great figure in the paranormal and UFOs and Bigfoot and whatever else you want to talk about.
Mr. Haunted.
Yeah, Mr. Haunted.
Yeah, Mr. Haunted.
Tune in and hear that we the show.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to being able to go around and have some conversations at the tables. And anybody can do it. You just have to go to paraconn.org, 2 N's, and you can get your ticket there.
That's a UFO right there. Oh, there's the Witch Festival
on the back.
Yeah.
Same on written fees, putting it front and back there. I like it. All right. I was thinking of a question, but the words are hard, and I can't remember what the word is that I'm looking for. But okay, so thinking into the future here, who are some guests that you haven't had yet that you would like to have, or maybe along those lines, like things that you haven't experienced yet that you would like to have at either Paraconn or any of the other things that you do?
Yeah.
Well, we used to explore this place in Connecticut called Dudleytown, and it was a cursed land. There's a whole history behind it, and we went there 3 times. I don't know if we were allowed to go there, but we did. And the answer is definitely no, we weren't allowed to, because we got cease and desists. I would love, I don't, there's not a convention or an event or an occasion where people don't say, Charles, get us back into Dudleytown. And so are there guests that we'd want to get at the convention? Sure. Are there, other aspects of it that we're going to probably, do in the future years? Yes. But that's right. That comes to mind when I think of places that I would love to get to and that we're not allowed to anymore, because we won't go anywhere. We're not allowed. Thomas and I, we have permission. We do it the right way. If there's a charity involved with the location, we'll make a donation. Anything we really need to do it always on the up and up and always the right way. There's a location in Connecticut. It's a former asylum where people break into. They sneak in there. We'll never do things like that.
Yeah. Well, we're down here in Virginia, and there's a lot of, similar to New England, as far as American history goes in terms of like European colonization, Virginia goes back, further than anybody. And so it's like one of those things where we have Jamestown and we have Colonial Williamsburg and Yorktown all right there together. And I know they do like ghost tours. But to me, a ghost tour is fun, but it's not the same as being able to do a paranormal investigation. And so it would be really interesting to come up with that list of like places you can't paranormal investigate, but like maybe one day it could happen. And I think I would put Colonial Williamsburg specifically, because now they actually found like the historical Jamestown. That would be a pretty cool place to check out. Yeah.
People always say to us, why is Connecticut the most haunted state? And I go, well, because we live in it and it's easy to give all the reasons. But that's not to down Virginia. That's not to down Gettysburg. It's not to down, Savannah, Georgia. Of course, any place that has haunted history is definitely up there. But I think, what you touch on, places that have had a lot of bloodshed, a lot of war, a lot of tragedies, Certainly, New England is everywhere you go was probably Native American land that was stolen from them. So that went from being blessed, holy land to perhaps cursed land. I don't know. Certainly doesn't have the same religiosity it originally had. And then places that have running water. Running water maintains that spiritual flow. So if you have those three criteria and you have a lot of haunted history.
You're talking about my house, Charles. You're talking about my house. Don't stop there.
Rossi's not going to be able to go to sleep tonight.
Where we live is actually called, it's close to a place called Conjurer's Neck, because it was one of the first British settlements they had when they came up the river there in the 1600s. And when they came here, there was a group of Native Americans who lived here, and they said that one of them was a conjurer that controlled the river spirits, because we happen to live between two running rivers. So
that's the shaman. That's the healer,
That's
the
the
medicine
shaman.
man. Yeah.
I've seen him, Thomas. I saw him in our backyard one day.
Wow.
He was pretty tall, and he's just standing there, like acknowledging me, and I'm acknowledging him, and I'm like, okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thomas,
we're keeping it sacred over here.
I cut Thomas off. I didn't know what you were going to say. I'm sorry.
Oh no, because Charles and I, when we do events, so you're talking about all these different haunted areas. Both of us work really hard to find places that haven't really been investigated. Yeah, we go back to some places that request, or our patrons request to go back to. But we work really hard, like the Elks Lodge that we're going to have. That's never really been investigated. And the reason why we do that is, like we were talking earlier, a lot of these places, if you go so much, you're leaving a little at a time, to the point where your haunt becomes something different over the years.
It does,
There's a time where you could ghost hunt like all the time and then leave and come back 3 years later, and your energy left there, you end up haunting yourself.
Yeah.
It's a lot of that energy. That's why I tell people, you're running these, you're always going to have that haunt. But Charles and I like to bring people to something that's never been investigated, so it's brand new energy. Yeah, they might get the guy that nobody's talked to in 500 of our years, and he's like, oh my God, somebody could talk to me, and they get excited, and we have these big experiences. That's what we're looking for. That's what we provide for people. Mainly in the ghost hunts, of course, we'll have that Saturday night with John Zaffis for the haunting in Waterbury at the Elks Lodge. But even when you come to Paraconn and we get to tell these stories, and then you're like, oh my God, I want to go on one of these ghost hunts. And then you take somebody down, the old proverbial rabbit hole, where they become so interested, they want to get into it. And they might be that person that helps us come up with other answers. The more people we get into it, the more knowledge that goes into it, the more learning, and somebody's brain starts working, it becomes better and better. We're at that point in the paranormal where doctors were years ago, where they thought bloodletting would cure people. We laugh at it now, but after 40 years, there's things I would do 40 years ago that, I'm like, yeah, it was pretty good, but I got some different method that I proved that that's not working properly. Let me try something different. I don't think scientifically we'll ever be able to prove it. Because reason being is you can't do something over and over again to try it. That spirit isn't going to say the same thing on command every time, each day, to be able to measure that scientifically. It's always going to be parascience. So.
I almost feel like science, and I don't think it would, I don't know, but science will have to kind of catch up. There'll have to be a leap in science, because I have a feeling, and I don't know anything about it really, but my guess is that we're dealing with other dimensions. And science is just at the point of being able to say, hey, these things. There was a story I was thinking about having on the news tonight that talked about the scientific discovery saying that we have 3-dimensional time.
Yep.
So that was a news story. So we have time at our level, then there's time at the quantum level, and time at some other 3rd-dimensional level that we can't see.
Yeah.
And that explains, they said that could possibly be like the thing that Einstein was searching for, with general relativity or whatever. But so, it's interesting that came up as well. But, it's really interesting, the prospects of all that. And like you were talking about earlier, it's so easy to go to a known haunted place where people have had really good evidence and go, we're going to investigate, the crap out of this place. And then, I wonder about that. I was investigating somewhere recently. I won't say where, but I kind of thought like, I almost feel kind of bad because someone was just investigating here last night. Like, if you have any kind of empathy for the spirit, you're like, man, do they really want to do this? And on your case, if you're going somewhere that hasn't been investigated a whole lot before, there might be something that really does want to have something to say. So that could be very interesting.
Yeah.
Great point. Yes.
But I like you talking about the time thing. I've talked about this in lectures. You talk about Einstein. Einstein would say light bends, and what is light? Light is time. And you're talking about the three things. I look at it as the past, the present, the future, all in the same timeline, running parallel. And if light bends and it's time, who's to say that the past doesn't bend into now? That's why we see the past. Or sometimes we see the future with a deja vu or anything like that. Or, I've had investigators, we've had talks. I would sit by like a fire up in Mount Washington Hotel in New Hampshire with other fellow investigators telling our stories and hearing some of the most crazy things that happened where somebody, a woman who's a realtor walks into an empty house and sees a woman sitting there, looks like she's reading a story to her daughter. And then the investigator finds out that in the past, there was a young girl who's now an adult, says that when I was younger, I saw this woman walk in and scream and leave. And that's exactly what the realtor did. So you're seeing the past, looking and she's saying that. So we don't really know how time works, but that's like the theory behind it. That's why we might see a ghost or a shadow figure that light's bending into our time. And that's why we're seeing it. So we don't know. But it's fun. It's fun to talk about those theories.
Totally it is fun to talk about.
It is really fun. I actually had a pretty big case of deja vu last weekend. So it's something I dealt with recently. And that's something that we've talked about a lot on this show and Medium Jenny Lee's done on her own streams and stuff because she was doing a lot of past life regressions.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, things have kind of illuminated that not all past life regressions are happening in the past. And there's not necessarily an order that these things are taking place in. And so that's brought up I don't necessarily say brought up questions, but I guess it has, but also brought up a way of a different way we might have to look at these things, even though it really kind of hurts my brain, at least trying to do so.
Well, we just don't have the right language for things either.
Yeah.
Well, the past life regression is very important, whether you believe it or not, as you're helping somebody heal, because a lot of people want to know, what was I? What's my purpose? And sometimes that brings purpose along in a more organic way. It's all important. Being hypnotized, getting over trauma, doing EMDR type of work that we do with Wardruna. But these are all the things that we're talking about that you'll get to experience at Paraconn.
At Paraconn.
All the tables, going up, talking to Charles. You can talk to him about monsters and the Beatles.
Yeah.
Just because it's a Paraconn doesn't mean that you can't talk Beatles with Charles or there's other topics. We got people that are very good in all aspects, even true crime. I'm retired from the state of Florida. I was a criminal behaviorist. I was a crisis management. I would profile inmates. So if anything went off, I had to know how I was going to deal with them. And that stemmed into studying serial killers, why their mind works, their youth, what happened in their youth to make them go this way. And when I do my podcast on Mondays, which of course I postponed today, we got a rebroadcast. But the thing is I teach people on the show what to look out for in their kids. If you're a teacher, what to look out for in your student. Or you, as you get older, you're going into a parking lot, what to look out for, how to keep you safe. Because in your lifetime, you'll come into contact directly or indirectly with 33 serial killers. So, and that's a good opportunity that something could happen. It's always, hey, the neighbor down the street. Oh, I thought they were a nice person. That's your direct, indirect contact. And we're talking about all this stuff at, with the Paraconn True Crime Conference. So that's all going to be open to that. And, getting to see these haunted items of, things that happened. Jeffrey Dahmer's fork that was confiscated from his house will be in the house and talked about. So that'll be fun. They'll have that energy. So you'll have all that cool stuff going on. And I really, this year's one, I think is going to be a once in a lifetime weekend.
Mhm.
You know, next year will be something different, hopefully even better.
Yeah.
You know, but we always want to make it better, and that's our goal. And everybody have a good, safe time and a safe place to talk about this stuff.
Excellent. Well, I had something we talked last time. I don't know if we did this, but I did see where we were the list, like the top, the book of top 10 horror lists. So I wanted to go over. I had a thing that I talked to Jenny a lot about, and that's like you kind of got like the big movie franchise, you know, Jason, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers. You kind of have those famous slasher people. I wanted to go through and see if you guys would name who your favorite was, if you have a favorite.
Oh, man.
I'll go first. I can go first. I think my favorite, I'm a big fan of Michael Myers.
Yes.
I have a lot of his stuff around here. I don't know if we can see it right now. But I have to say, I think my favorite is Freddy Krueger.
Wow. My favorite is Chucky.
Ooh, shocking.
I never said that on the air before because I don't want Jason or Michael or Freddie to come after me and be upset.
Hannibal Lecter.
Oh,
He's back there. I've been looking at his face over Charles's shoulder all screen.
Charles is a big horror guy, but again, I'm a serial killer guy, and I think Hannibal Lecter personifies a lot of those different things. And even in the movie with Buffalo Bill, all of them had a mix. A lot of people don't know is Hannibal Lecter was based off of actually what happened was, you know, in the movie, Hannibal Lecter helps Clarice Starling find Buffalo Bill. Now, Clarice, in real life, Ted Bundy said that he could help the FBI find the Green River killer, Gary Ridgway. So he helped the FBI do that, and that's where that Thomas Harris got the idea of the Hannibal Lecter character. So, and the Buffalo Bill character is, of course, based off of like Ed Gein. You know, he always wanted the soft skin, the skin suit, and all that, along with all the other things. But we're talking about, you know, paranormal and true crime. They go hand in hand. You know, we've talked about it before. The DeFeo murders at the Amityville house. And also after that, there's a haunting.
Yep.
Lizzie Borden house, there's an axe murder. There's a haunting.
Yeah.
Basilica, there's a murder. There's, you know, a serial killer house is like, where's the one out in, it's the farm one there. But
yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it either.
Yeah. Richard Estep just wrote a book about it. So and,
yeah.
And Herb Baumeister, that's the other one. So yeah, so that's a big one. But those are all haunted areas. There's you know, things. There's that time still going on, that residual, that haunt going on where we could communicate. And these are the things we talk about at our events, and people are blown away by some of this stuff, and we want to make sure you don't miss it. Again, come to all Saturday and Sunday, and also the night event on Saturday. Don't miss it.
There we go. Did you have one, Jenny, before we get out of here? Who's your favorite?
Well, mine's also Freddy Krueger.
Oh, yours is also Freddy. Okay. All right. I guess there's a reason we're married, huh?
Yep.
See, you like the same slashers, you're good to go. There we go.
See, if you go to the Marvel universe, if you go to Marvel Universe, somehow all the superheroes wind up in movies together. I love the Freddy. I wish, you know, there was a Freddy. All of them in one movie.
Oh, yeah.
Finally,
that would be cool.
At the end, there should be that. But I guess it's different studios. It makes it tougher.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they do have those reels. They put them all together, like doing fun stuff.
I actually saw
some of the reels where they have all the slashers in a reel.
Yes.
It's pretty funny.
I was actually watching a thing with Robert Englund the other day, and he said that they had planned to do a Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. Oh. And they didn't do it because they were going to have like Freddy losing again. And because he got killed in the first one, he didn't think that he should be killed in the second one. And so they couldn't agree on the ending to the movie.
That never stopped the Universal monsters from bringing Frankenstein back.
There you go. All right, guys, hang out with us for just a second. We're going to talk to you as soon as we get off air. For everyone else who's listening to us at another place and another time, We will see you all next time.